I own my building where I work. Um, I wouldn't say it's really that lucrative compared to other things like the stock market, but I think it's important to, when you're on your own, try to be completely on your own, not depend on, you know, uh, rent. Medical office space rent is extremely expensive here, and it's very hard to find. You'll kind of see the same buildings with the same units available, and you'll hardly see anything that's a standalone area or structure. That's even harder to find. And when you do find them, they're very expensive, or there's something inconvenient about them, like oh, they don't have parking, or
Mm.
you know. So I'm proud to say that I own my space, and I don't have to depend on pumping out a certain number of patients to pay rent.
Welcome to the Real Estate Mogul MD podcast. Thanks for tuning in and taking control of your financial future. This is a show where we not only motivate and inspire, we give you actionable, real-world experience to help you live life by design. You'll hear journeys and stories from other physicians, investors, coaches, consultants, and entrepreneurs. And now, here's your host, Brett Riggins. Today's guest is a board-certified dermatologist, founder of Miami Derm, and a pioneer in nationwide telemedicine. Dr. Anna Chacon scaled her business across all 50 states and currently working on Puerto Rico while keeping freedom, flexibility, and entrepreneurship at the core. All right, Anna, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here today. Let's start off by letting the listeners know a little bit about your medical background. Where did you start and where you ended up right now?
Yeah, so I'm a board certified dermatologist from Miami, Florida. I went to school at Brown University for undergrad and medical school, and I did my residency at USC. And right now, I run a private practice in Miami and also nationwide.
Interesting. I want to dig in a little bit on that nationwide piece. And I think that you're licensed in all 50 states. Is that correct?
Correct. Yep.
So I love having conversations about this is when you do scale like that. How many practices do you have?
I mean, I have a couple companies that are required when you have a practice this big, but I want to say it's most of them fall under like a general umbrella. It wasn't easy. It's actually pretty expensive and a lot of work to do that. But I enjoy being able to work from anywhere. So.
Nice. And in that 50 states, how many actual brick and mortars locations do you have?
I work in three locations. My main one is in Miami, though. That's where I'm usually at. And then the other two I kind of subcontract with. They're not mine.
Okay. What drove you to you mentioned that it's a bigger practice. What pushed you or elevated you to get to that point?
Just really freedom and freedom. Really, it started with my schedule because I find that doctors, although you go to school a long time, you don't have a lot of freedom sometimes at the end in terms of being able to call the shots on what hours you work or anything like that. So I that was really the main driver. It wasn't financial. It was just being able to take charge of my schedule, which was always hard for me before I was on my own. And now it's just something I value being able to do.
Yeah. And do you think that growth then drove that opportunity? Was there a struggle or a juggle through that process?
Oh,
Uh,
yeah, there always is. But I mean, it's your company, so as my dad says, if it fails, it's my fault. Whereas if you're working somewhere else, you just don't have any control. It's whatever they decide you're going to work, and you just got to accept it and deal with it.
yeah. Um, Tell me a little bit about the mindset going into that journey, being, if I'm going to add more people, add more places, add more work, it just sounds like I'm adding more work. So how do I take that mindset shift to be able to look at that and say, hey, this is because I want freedom, and then it may be difficult in the midterm, like in the beginning, but it's all about where I'm going to end up. So what was your mindset like, and what did you have to shift in your mind in order to get through that process?
Yeah, so I mean, it is a lot more work to be independent. But it's, I actually enjoy working. I went into medicine because I enjoy it. So I don't really see it as a bad thing. And I want to say that the mindset was still, I want control over my time.
Hmm.
Not that I don't want to do anything with my time. I just want control over it. If I want to be able to work, start working or seeing patients at 11, I can do that. If I want to work remotely and work from a beach in Hawaii, I could do that. Whereas you can't, as I furthered my career, I saw the limitations that were being placed and I didn't really agree with it. Like for example, I worked in a VA where you actually had to request a day off 3 months in advance.
3 months.
And that, yeah, 3 months.
Wow.
I'm not even kidding, 3 months in advance. And that is not just hard for anyone to do. I mean, I have employees that are medical assistants that would be impossible for them to do. So
Hmm.
imagine asking a doctor who, after studying for 15 years, you kind of want to maybe take a few days off, or maybe you need to. And they were really never easy about it. So it was that I was just like, I'd just rather make less or make more, but just be able to take that day off if I need it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. That makes sense. And the almost sounds like you are speaking from experience working from a beach in Hawaii.
Yeah, well, I work in a lot, but I do try to. I like sightseeing a lot, and I try to do that
Hmm.
and just incorporate it into my day and my work day.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. And it's also really, really important when you do have that freedom and flexibility to be able, and I struggle with this personally, be able to work when it's time to work and relax when it's time to relax, and not let the two of them intermingle with each other. How does real estate play into your business journey so far?
Yeah, so it plays a role because I own my building where I work. Um, I wouldn't say it's really that lucrative compared to other things like the stock market, but I think it's important to, when you're on your own, try to be completely on your own, not depend on, you know, uh, rent. Medical office space rent is extremely expensive here, and it's very hard to find. You'll kind of see the same buildings with the same units available, and you'll hardly see anything that's a standalone area or structure. That's even harder to find. And when you do find them, they're very expensive, or there's something inconvenient about them, like, oh, they don't have parking, or
Mm,
so I'm proud to say that I own my space, and I don't have to depend on pumping out a certain number of patients to pay rent or take loans out or any of that.
nice. And are you in that single standalone structure, or do
Yeah,
you have other spaces that you rent out as well?
I do rent other spaces out.
Okay, so yeah, that's a great. And you say it's not lucrative. What makes it not lucrative for you?
Um, so I would say that no, it actually is. I mean, I do have a part of it rented, but I want to say real estate in Miami is expensive, but maybe the
Hmm.
rents haven't caught up yet.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and you have property tax as well, which is large.
Yeah, yeah.
That
So
eats into
yeah,
it.
the cash on cash return sounds like it's low, and that happens in in spaces where the real estate is expensive, the taxes are expensive, so making all of that work, and then just in my mind it goes to, okay, what are the opportunities to increase the income, decrease the expenses? Are there any operating opportunities that you have to make it more lucrative than what it is? But given that your business is inside of there, it's how long have you owned the building?
2022. So 3 years.
2022. Okay. So there's definitely some tax incentives for you as an owner of that building as well too. And I know that there's a special stipulation for when you when you own a building, you practice out of that building. The first year you put it into service, there are some accelerated depreciation benefits that could take effect there too. So definitely some tax benefits into owning your own practice, owning your own building and practicing out of it. That would increase that lucrative opportunity for you as well too. Um, these other, so you're nationwide, and it's telemedicine, right? And that's what you practice in nationwide.
Yeah, but I have an in-person practice too, and I work in person in 3 states.
In 3 states.
Yeah.
So those the other states, they have brick and mortar buildings. Do you own there too, or you
No,
lease? You
I'm just
lease.
a subcontractor. So I work at a hospital for one of them,
Oh,
and
okay.
then I work at a tribal clinic for another one.
Okay. Do you still like that piece, or you like owning your own real estate better?
I like diversification. So I
So
like,
both.
it's I don't like having all my eggs in one basket. Just the way I am. So
Yeah.
I can honestly say if something doesn't work out, I'll be fine because I have a ton of baskets.
Mm-hmm.
So I like variety, not just diversification, but variety. Having, I think it's important to get exposure to other things so you know how to improve. If I wasn't getting exposure to other clinics, exposure to how they do things elsewhere, sometimes that you won't know how things are changing in other practices and how it could make yours better. You know.
In that piece of your business where you own your own real estate and you're leasing out those other spaces, I'm just guessing. I have not gone to med school. I'm not a physician, but I'm just guessing that there's not much to be learned or absorbed when it comes to negotiating leases and property ownership. So, what's your journey like when you became a building owner as a physician? What was your journey to learn one, how to be a building owner, one that then two, how to be a building owner that you lease out to other people, and how are you juggling all of that stuff right now?
Yeah, I mean it's a challenge. My family has real estate, and they do a good job at it, so they helped. I also have a great real estate agent who is able to find key and quality people to rent. She finds very good candidates that are pretty stable and take care of properties and are good renters. There are things that happen that you're just never prepared for, like fixing roofs, maintenance, and that's kind of what becomes difficult about sometimes seeing it as being lucrative because there's always ongoing maintenance going on
Yeah.
of buildings.
Yeah, the capital expenditures, if you're not anticipating them, definitely. And even when you do, and even when you're anticipating capital expenditures on real estate, it's still painful. It still hurts because it's not, you always see it as cash leaving and not cash coming in. And oftentimes it shifts our perspective too of the cash in versus cash out aspect as well too. Do you have and I'm just trying to like dig in on you being a physician and wanting that freedom and that time, but now you have an asset, a building that you're operating. Do you have a property manager that operates everything for you, works with the real estate agent, handles the common area maintenance? Tell me a little bit about the operation of the building.
Um, so I do have actually a maintenance team. Yeah, they're the same team that my family uses for their other properties. So I just kind of piggyback off that. No one's really a new person. It would probably be hard to do if I had to start from scratch.
Interesting. And what about the negotiating the leases? That's something you lean on your real estate agent to help with?
Yeah, and she does a great job.
Yep. And do you work with attorneys in that process as well too?
Her mom's an attorney that just does general business law, but is definitely able to do this. We haven't had to do that. I believe that she, through her brokerage, probably has real estate attorneys that draft things. like contracts and things like that. I think
Okay.
that she has a.
Okay. So where does that go for you now as far as real estate goes? Do you have other investments since your family's in real estate? Is that a piece of the diversification for you as well too?
No, I don't count their things into my own things.
No, I mean the history, your experience coming from a family that has real estate. Is that something that you anticipate moving forward to have more interest in?
It's kind of hard to manage it being a physician, and there's just other, I want to say more lucrative investments that could be made, like I think the stock market, for example. Yeah,
Oh, interesting.
there's more
Um,
liquidity. Hmm.
yeah, or even growing the business too, right? I mean that's something that
Yeah.
can be lucrative for you. There's a what's called a multiple on those. Interesting perspective on the real estate piece, and the management piece is definitely difficult. The time required to acquire, manage all of that stuff. Do you feel that there are any opportunities available for you that would be enticing for you to invest in real estate as opposed to the stock market?
Um, like which ones you mean?
Yeah, anything, and it comes down to what type of investment. When you say lucrative, what does lucrative mean to you? What type of return? What type of time requirement? What type of liability?
I want to say minimal time requirement. Um, you know, probably a place where it's going to appreciate, but you could demand high rent and not necessarily pay an arm and a leg for land like you do
Hmm.
in the Miami area.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Have you ever considered syndications?
What is that?
So syndications is, I feel it hits everything that you're talking about there,
Hmm.
and it mitigates your time involved in the process because you're basically like not necessarily a silent partner in the deal, but you are a piece of a company through the fund that's set up that allows you to invest, reap the benefits, but not have to do any of the operations. So say some funds will do 50,000 up to 250 and above. They have cash on cash preferred returns, typically pay out quarterly. And there's an equity multiple in these pieces, which this is where my argument comes against the stock market, being like this is much more lucrative than the stock market for most investors. You got to find the right operators and build the right relationships. But that equity multiple, typically a target's going to be about a 2x equity multiple. So basically doubling your money in a 5-year return. So you got a cash on cash return and a equity multiple on the exit as well too, with minimal time involved as kind of like a silent partner. Being a limited partner is what the actual term is.
Hmm.
In
Okay.
this, yeah, go ahead.
Is it like a group of investors?
Yeah, so the group comes together as the fund. Typically, you'll have general partners, which are the operators. They bring the deal to the table. They've got the experience. They're able to take loans for these types of and properties like multifamilies. You can do them in storage. You can do them in a couple of different asset classes. But the general partners are the ones running the basically the deal. The sponsors, similar to a general partner, maybe bring the fund together, bring the deal to the table, and then all of the limited partners will go into the fund, and they'll put their money into the fund, and that's where the partnership comes. The fund and the partners of the deal, general partners. So it's basically a legal way of raising capital for these deals, and a lot of deals will be around multifamilies. And these general partners will have experience not only finding, acquiring, stabilizing if they need stabilized, but operating the assets as well too, and doing it in a way where it makes sense in the area. So you could do it, be in a fund in Georgia, you could be in a fund in South Carolina, you can be a fund in California. It doesn't matter, and it's all going to be very similar to, for you as a limited partner.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, but when can you actually make all that liquid? Let's say, suppose you need that money for something.
Yep, that's going to be a challenge when it comes to a fund. Typically, you're going to have a target exit, but where you give up the time involved requirement, you give up a little more of the control of that liquidity as well too. So it's typically once it goes into the fund, you don't have the ability to pull it out or not.
Yeah, I don't like that as much. Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, I think there's still other more lucrative investments like, the stock market where you can take risk, but you can, pull out if you want to and have better returns a lot of times than real estate.
Yep. Yep. And I know that I had a guest on the show as well too, where they were setting up a fund where you could come in and out faster, and it made it more liquid. They were investing in front end of development projects. So it's out there. It just depends on what you're looking for, and just having the open mind and the perspective that it's possible to find exactly what I'm looking for. And it's not for everybody. So that's completely okay too. Where within the business, Anna, what's next for you? What's next for you in dermatology?
I mean, I'm always working on new projects, but I'm getting licensed in Puerto Rico so I can see patients there and expand my business there.
Interesting. Do you have, I apologize, I'm not educated on this, on the telemedicine piece. You have the license. Are you managing other people that see patients too, or is it just you seeing patients in 50 states plus Puerto Rico?
Well, it's mostly me. It is hard to find someone that can do this,
Hmm.
Yeah, because it just requires a lot of expenses, regarding, yeah, it just requires a lot of expenses in terms of
Interesting.
license fees and all of that. And it only makes sense if the person works a lot to do it.
Interesting. And that made sense to you to do. I mean, I could only imagine what it takes to keep up the licenses in all those states. That increased your
Yeah.
volume enough to where that makes sense.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That is mostly what I do. And I do work a lot. So it balances out. Yeah. If you're just sitting at home not using them, it's going to be a loss for you, a constant loss.
Very interesting. What is your biggest takeaway in this process as a physician, owning real estate, growing businesses? We know that you like diversification. We know
Yeah.
that you like being liquid, being able to come and go. We know that you like freedom and scheduling, freedom of time. What's your biggest takeaway as as a physician, as a real estate investor, as an investor in general at this point?
I mean, just do what you like, but doesn't mean you have to be just a practice owner or just a business person. You could also, it's not bad to work for other people. I think diversification is important. Just having different choices where if something falls through, it's not a big deal, but to ultimately do what you want and do what you like. And there's ways you can balance, being a contractor, being a business owner with having a little bit of freedom to make your own decisions.
That is great advice. So back on the diversification, but wrapping it all the way back, Anna, to picking the path that you want, right? Leading that path that you want, finding the things that mean most to you, that align with your values, and develop those goals from that direction. Diversification, liquidity, happiness, freedom, all of those things align. So that's amazing. Great advice. Anna, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Last little question I have for you is
Yeah.
where can the listeners find out more about you and your process, your business?
Yeah, they could contact me directly at my website, drannachacon.com. Actually, online, I'm all over the place. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook. I think I met you on LinkedIn, but LinkedIn is where I like to do a lot of my business or networking,
Mm-hmm.
sort of social media. So, they could contact me there. They could also book a consultation with me online. Anyone can. On Acuity, if you want to be a student and shadow, you can book on there. If you want to have a meeting about other things, you can just book an appointment there. If you're a patient, you can book there. If it's non-patient consultation, they can just book online.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's Dr. Anna Chacon, and I'm going to have that at .com. I'm going to have that in the show description as well too. And Chacon is CHACON.com.
Yep.
Anna is ANNA. So drannachacon.com. And yeah, on the bottom of that website, there is all the social links are there. Get connected with Anna, reach out to her, learn a little bit more about her experience, and maybe join along in the dermatology journey as well too. So thank you so much again, Anna. It's been a wonderful conversation.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
Hey, that was a fun dive into what's possible when you lead with freedom and purpose. Dr. Chacon reminded us that you can own your own building, you can own your own schedule, and you can own your own future, all still while practicing the medicine you love. And just coming back to mindset on this piece, reverse engineering, keeping focus on what really matters to you. And what's something we talk about a lot here in my household is, hey, when's enough enough? What are we shooting for? What is our actual outcome that we want in life, right? It's all important to keep in mind. And again, thank you so much for keeping us on your mind, listening to this podcast, giving us your attention. Thanks again. Until the next time, this is the Real Estate Mogul MD.